Alright. Good afternoon, folks. This is Drew City over at Moonlight Office. Here we fix our entry service. Anyway, it is time to do something that I decided. Do you want to fly? Why? For one simple reason. Because I want to. And now, just gonna empty out of these for obvious reasons. And before we start, I just need to add one more tab. And a row below. Declared and save. There you go. I know it's wordy, but you will start seeing why as soon as I start explaining it. Roboku, I'm gonna put off that one for some obvious reasons. Anyway, starting off with this guy. Who the fuck is this guy? I'm gonna be perfectly frank, I have no idea who the fuck. I don't remember who this guy is. Like, I can pretty much recognize every other guy here. Like, but this one guy, I just have no idea who the fuck he is. I may have come down to the conclusion that it might be the Hollywood Policeman General. Because the only reason why is because I think I remember seeing him with, like, little things on his head, and his armor is also green. I know this is not good evidence, but I got nothing. Alright. Anyways, I'm just gonna be generous and put him in late general. Alright, now someone I actually recognize. Mobu! And probably turn some music on. I'm just gonna close this on real quick. It's a long one. Ooh. Okay, there we go. Anyway, Mobu! The guy I actually recognize. And honestly, put him below 6th grade generals. He's a, well, let's be honest, he's a brick house when it comes to actual combat. And well, let's be honest. But when it comes to tactics, he's got a good understanding of battle. And like I said, brick wall. He's a brick wall that will hit you. Particularly with a huge ass mace. And it will only use the mace. I've seen this man torpedo people in half with that damn thing. The only reason why I'm not putting him higher is because, well, honestly, I haven't really gauged his skill as a general. We only seen him when, let's see, the Bayou Campaign and the Coalition War. I don't remember how to pronounce his name, and I'm just not gonna attempt it. He's like basically he's a king of a sovereign nation, the 3rd grade Heavenly King, and is the only one who's actually a king, and is not an idiot. I will explain later. Of the Mountain King herself. High-grade general. Now, admittedly, most of her actual strategies have come from, well, has come from the Thousand Eyes clan, which, spoiler alert, reveal that most of her strategies are actually came from another mountain clan called Thousand Eyes. But still, she's pretty damn good at combatants. And it's basically liked by both her people and people of Quinn, so... High 6th Grand General. He's not really a general, but he is still really damn good at his job, so I am gonna give him that. That he is basically responsible for pretty much every single grand strategy for Quinn. Like, yeah, I think it's like confirmed. Like, I don't think there was actually a single example of a grand battle plan that he wasn't in charge of devising, so. Alright, also just the putting this here. I'm just gonna go through here. I'm just gonna put all the previous. For the previous 6 generals, why you may ask? Quite simple. Because we never see him. You never actually got to see him do anything, so I can't really gauge of how effective their strategies are, how effective their tactics are. Anything really, except other than, hey, they were really great, and one was really strong, and one was Uki. Uki was fucking awesome. Which is, it's not. I know it's a bit unfair, but we got nothing on these guys, literally. Alright, up next is Kaima. But I'm gonna say it. She's going up in Legends. She is probably the best. Probably the most qualified in terms of strategy. Like let's be honest, she was a real mastermind behind the coalition's siege strategy, and almost made it if it weren't for the goat, which I will be start talking about him later. Up next, Kalmi. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Basically the head general of the Chu army during the Coalition War. Basically like Mobile, he's a brick shithouse. And also, I would say Fire Dragon. He was the glue that was holding the entire army up, but he also was relying on a large number of generals. Plus, he did lose a Mobile, and it doesn't. And while he is completely, along with most of his strategy being relying on a team of strategists, and Galme. Next up, Toa. Definitely Legends. He's the successor to Uki. He's pretty much a match with him in terms of strength, strategy. I mean, hell, even during the Bayou campaign, he was basically the second. He was operating as general, as the head general alongside Uki. That was how good he was. Attempts Gouge. His name was one of the longer ones. He's from Wei. He was in charge of the Wei siege, and was also probably the most successful besides Kalme in the battle, as he was. Let's be honest, he was the only one that was actually managed to pierce through. Able to get a. Not even was actually able to scale the central defensive wall twice with basically some very impressive siege technology. Next up is I think I know what that is. No, I never know. I need to put it on the list. I listen. I don't remember every single with exact detail. But there's 80 guys here. Some people are gonna be. are gonna be leaking through the cracks. Because, well, there's 80 goddamn characters. I'm just gonna put him in Elite General. Up next is this guy, who I think that was one of the previous Heavenly Kings for John. I'm just gonna put him here. Kiyoshi. 6 generals. We have actually. She's the only other great general we've actually seen fight along with Ruki. And along with that, it was confirmed that she was responsible for conquering 100 cities. I can't really gauge of how successful the other ones were, but I would say that they weren't as much. Maybe except in terms of maybe long term. They probably reached their amount. I definitely know Uki probably has. Has he been operating as an independent army for like how long was Insei's father's reign? I think it was only 6 years actually. So at least 6 years. And before then was a member. Member of the 6th grade generals for, well, most of it. For at least 3 more years? I'm gonna go with more than that. Next up, pretty sure this is one they have any kings. Never really see. Kyoshu. Gaishu. Kensei. Fuck. I'll give him. Yes, he has a pretty decent fighting streak. He is definitely probably one of the better strategists amongst instinct generals. The problem is he is very easy to be rage baited. Since, well, he was fucking rage baited to death. Spoilers. So, up next, I don't know who this guy is. Late General. Yeah, pretty much Late General at this point. It's just becoming guys I don't recognize. Alright, and then guy I also cannot pronounce. Previously a prince of a foreign kingdom. Became a really damn good strategist, actually. Was able to hold decently well against Duke Hayaru. Honestly, and plus, it's fitting. He was the only fire dragon who wasn't murdered or imprisoned. So, anyway, speaking of those, this guy's teacher, another fire dragon. I can't really. Supposed to be the best strategist of the group. I can't really say for certain. Because, well, let's be honest, I have no idea. Since, well, the only time I honestly can't really tell. The only time they made an appearance was basically the third Wei invasion into Wei, where this guy was overreaching commander, and he pretty much had the last remaining fire dragons leading under his command. With us only seeing, basically only getting any details on the first two, with basically the only action we've seen is her commanding a general who was basically a borderline berserker, charging to Toa's lines. Yeah, we didn't. So I can't really properly gauge his effectiveness as a commander and as a fighter. Yeah, I don't think she's a fighter at all, actually. He, she, whatever. Duke something. I know he was one of the commanders from Sway. He was. I'm gonna put him in Heavenly King. Prove himself to be very confident. Albeit not without issues. Effectiveness, I can't say. And now on to one of the important guys. Shin. Actually, yeah, let's put him into high fire track. See, he's not quite there. He's honestly, for account of how terrible of a actual tactician he is, he's. I'm put him lower. I mean, the guy himself is an amazing combat. He's easily one of the best in the series, and he has made decently and made some really good strategic moves. Obviously, not the best in comparison to other instincts. He's probably on the worst end of the spectrum. I mean, the only reason why I put him so high here is because, well, he's a damn good fighter. But other than that, there is a lot of flaws with him. Anyway, another Duke something. He was like a counterpart for him. I'm gonna. Right here, he was also another instinctual general. Pretty good. Alright, now on to the remaining members of the trio. I would say Uten. I'm gonna put him up. All 6 great generals. I know it's maybe. I know. But he's not the main. He's a rival, the main character. He's the Lancer. But listen, he's a damn fine combatant. He's actually a way better strategist than Shin. Like, this is not debate. This is just straight up fact. Anyway, Moten. Actually, mid Fire Dragon. Listen, I like Moten. I like him. Honestly, I'd say outside of Shin, he's probably my favorite of the aspiring trio. But he has some serious issues. Maybe the fact that he keeps raising death flags. I mean, let's be like, seriously, I am pretty sure he's been fatally wounded for at least 3 major battles, where by the end of it he was incapable of actually leading. First one being the Coalition War, second one being I can't remember what. I think it was second Wei invasion. And a third. Uh, maybe I'm misremembering one. Either way, he's good, but I don't think he's quite good enough in comparison to the other two. Unfortunately, he shares a bit too many semblances with his grandpa of just not being good enough. Anyway, now our other two fire dragons, Golden and the King of Alabama. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, this guy tried to fuck his sister. This guy was regularly fucking his sister, and then tried to marry her, and everyone was against it. And then, including like half the fire dragons. So he killed the other half of the fire dragons. He then got in prison for 15 years because, well, he killed half a country's leading generals because they didn't like him. Because they didn't like him fucking his sister. And this guy was... And basically, with these two... With these three pretty much all joined forces to kill the other. And with this... And with Ganku or something, he was the only reasonable one in the group, and decided to say, fuck that, I am out. I am not dealing with that. And I do not blame him. Anyway, next let's see, I can't remember his name. Name. I know he's one of Ibuku's retainers. Which, okay, for that, I'm gonna put him at the highest of elite generals. Why? Because he was a decent combatant until he got his arm chopped off. I just can't remember his name. Yeah. But, you know, he was dumb enough to follow Ibuki. Yeah. Oh, wait. No, never mind. Never mind. I didn't get them mixed up. I'm just... They just look very similar. Next, the lowest of the high... The most competent in sociopathic of Ibuki's retainers. I think the only time we actually seen him fight was during the first invasion against the Wei, led by the Goat Uki. He was responsible for bringing in a He was managed to successfully bring in a mountain tribe into the battle that held up against her forces. She ultimately failed, but still valid effort. He's a decent combatant. Next up, one of Renpa's four main generals and their main strategists. I'm gonna put him middle road of Heavenly Kings. He was a pretty decent strategist, although he had a heavy habit of underestimating his opponents, and was ultimately did in by the Walking War Crime Gangrene, which is somewhere on this list. I can't seem to find him off the top of my head. Oh, I never mind. He's here at the bottom. Anyway, next up, guy I don't recognize. Don't know any generals. And now Hubuki. Hubuki. The kind of people the Art of War is written for. This guy is pretty much it's Mubu if he was insane, a murder hobo, and basically, it wasn't even. Oh, he's only technically here because he is one of the 3 current Heavenly Kings. Keyword. So he's technically a general, even though he has never led a battle, led any sort of soldiers, and in fact just walks right in the battlefields and just started murdering people. He doesn't lead. He has literally never led a single person in his life. I would say recommend the Art of War to him, but I am not even sure he can read. Like, I am not kidding. I am 99% sure this guy is completely illiterate. Like Shin over here was born was a war orphan and a slave, and I still have. And I think it's more likely that over the years he has learned how to somewhat read, at least not proficiently. This guy, I'm 100% sure can't read anything. And now, the greatest of the great, the master of strategy himself, the man who's never lost a battle. Rubuko fans, fuck you. He didn't. He only lost one because of a fucking censor. And because he had a habit of trying to recruit his enemies. The goat himself, the greatest strategist out of anyone I've seen in the series, Ozen. Now, some people may be asking, what sort of feats he has had? To put it simply, he has been a army that specializes in mountain warfare, outmaneuvered them in the mountains. He has successfully held up one of the main generals of Rampa. He has conquered dozens of cities. He was the head mastermind behind the first invasions of Jian, and pretty much imperfectly replicated the strategy of Genghis Khan, but did it on steroids, where instead of just targeting small villages, he targeted whole cities, conquered them, forced all their people out. All while dealing with dwindling supplies to conquer the largest city John has. Let's be honest, this guy's track record is the fucking best. Where there's only one instance of him actually losing. This guy has never lost a single battle, a single war, all while never even lifting up a goddamn spear. This guy is here for only one reason and one reason alone. Because he is quite frankly the best aim strategist out of all the characters here. And the only reason why I don't think he's only making any of the grand strategies involved in is because of the, one, because he probably doesn't want to, and B, because he's trying to make his own kingdom. So, quite frankly, that ambition is gonna come to conflict. Duke something. I don't remember his name. Was one of the two other generals. There's away. I don't really remember much about this guy actually. Next up, not sure who that guy is. Yeah, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I do not know who he is. So he's going here. All right. Yeah. Up next is Kiyoshi. Low 6th grade generals. Listen, she is basically, in terms of combat, about equal to Shin. The only difference is she actually knows how to lead an army and strategize. Like, let's be honest, she was basically in charge of all the strategies back when they were a 300-man unit. And, well, we saw the drop. For anyone right during the start of his camp, start of his adventures as a 1,000-man commander, you would see the immediate drop in terms of strategy, since the only people who were in charge of high Shin unit's strategies was Shin and Sun. And they were doing so badly they were at risk of being demoted. Yeah, they were that bad. I think another one of Ryuki's early generals. I can't remember what his name is. I'm just gonna buy early generals. Up next, Renpai. One of Ringu's 4 head generals. He is really damn good, and honestly, I'd probably say out of the 4, the best in terms of combat. Being able to handle a wide variety of different units. With us seeing him handle whole armies along with a 3,000, being able to command a 300-man unit, which he was using just to assassinate random commanders, various commanders. Overall, probably on the smarter in the spectrum. Probably the 3rd smartest of the group, of the 5. Being behind, obviously, this guy and Renpai himself. But overall, he's damn good. And I'm putting him behind him because, unlike, well, obviously the old man, he actually knows how to fight. And it pretty much took the combined forces of both of our trio of Alton, Shin, and Moten. Moten, and Shin. Next, Kiao Shin. He was the one that I'm gonna put him right here. He was another one, the 4 general. General was under Renpai. He is also one of the 10 bows, which means he is easily one of the best archers in the entire series. He is a decent commander. never really managed to see a lot of him since he kind of got bogged down by Ozen, aka the goat right here. And now for the man who led the goat, and unfortunately was not that good of a general, Mogu. I really want to put him higher, but I am basing this purely on skill. And let's be honest, this guy was not a good general. Like, even in Series 8, fully admit, he was not an exceptional general. Like how his whole character, like his entire backstory is that he felt inadequate. Was that he couldn't match up to Rampa or the 6th generals. But the only feat he managed to do was outlive them all and die of old age, which honestly I'd say that's the most impressive thing, since out of every single general here that has died, he's the only one who's actually died of old age. Every single battle he's in, he survived. He survived the Duel of Rampa. He fought again. He was technically the main strategist for Quinn for the Coalition War. It didn't. But then, it was a basic siege and everyone was doing their own thing with their respective fronts, so I wouldn't exactly say that's that much of a fleet, but he was there. I'll give him that. He was there. Up next is this guy. I don't know who the fuck that guy is. Fundamentally generals, I don't recognize him, so he is not going on the list. And I can't tell if that's another guy or... Shit, I'm not really sure who this guy is. Because he's either one of the 4 main generals of Renpa, or he's a head general indemnity for Kinshai during the Karakura War. It's the one where he fought, where he and Kankri fight. I think it's one of the 4 generals. I mean, it's the only one we haven't seen so far. I'm gonna put him right here. He is a damn good fighter, but his strategies are probably the worst out of the entire group. And while he's strong as shit, he's not really a good strategist and kinda got his ass kicked by Kankri. With him being the only other 2 besides, well, Mr. Tenbo's over here. He's the only one that's actually managed to survive. Up next, I can't remember his name, but he is one of the head strategists for Shonzinshin. He hasn't participated in a lot of battles. He's mostly been acting as an overseer and strategist. But he did participate in the Siege of Sai, operating as head commander for one of the walls, and was actually one of the more successful ones. Probably on account of him bringing some weird siege equipment. It's like this giant roller thing that just dropped on top of any enemies trying to climb up a ladder. Up next is the king of the John Mountain Tribe. I'm gonna put him right here. The guy was basically a dictator for his entire people. He was hated by pretty much everyone. Like hell, his entire army was made up of fathers whose pretty much children and mothers children and wives were being held hostage by this guy. Like, he was an insane madman. And it's probably like easily in the top 3 worst ethically character, worst in terms of ethics out of the entire group. Now over here we got ourselves Renpai. I'm just gonna say he's the lowest of these high 6th grade generals. He's the only person we have met. He is a really good at his job. He is an amazing fighter, being able to hold his own against Mogan, which unsurprising of these father of Moby. He is strong as shit, and along with that, he was able to He was pretty much acting as the main strategist for the Wei army, and I would technically say he's the head general if it weren't for the other head gen. For the Wei forces being rallied under a survivor of the first invasion. I mean, against Wei. Overall, this guy he's the best in out of the Heavenly Kings we have encountered and seen. And let's be honest. And, well, he's probably on the higher end of the spectrum in terms of strategies. I mean, he was able to perfectly... Like, this guy dedicated years of studying his tactics in battles to create a death trap for Renpa. And he maneuvered that perfectly. That just shows how good of a commander he is. Up next, the Chu guy with a sword. It's probably a general at this point. We haven't seen him in forever. Low Heifer King, he's... The only thing I remember is that he's hot-headed. He's basically Shin, but he's got a really nice sword. And isn't as interesting. Hell, it's kind of an asshole, to be honest. And next is, Corin. I'm pronouncing, I'm gonna put him in right in the middle of Fire Dragons. He's a very skilled commander. He was pretty much, along with that, I would say he's more of a good king, if anything. He's been pretty much leading the people. Honestly, I haven't seen much out of strategy in terms of him. But overall, he's probably the best on the betterings in terms of... Honestly, I'll say the biggest benefit is that he is pretty much anyone he's leading, he is going to rally them. Especially if it's one of his subjects. Like, honestly, more for the fact that he is dealt with Kinkri and was, well, saw the aftermath of one of his strategies, he probably would have won the war against him. Or for, you know, him being terrified of what Kinkri was going to do with his people, so he was forced to retreat to protect them. Listen, he was one of the most morally upstanding characters he got, and he has my respect for that. Up next, the right-hand man for the Mountain King herself. I'm gonna put him right here. I haven't really seen him. He isn't really much of a general at all. I mean, he's just actually. I am gonna be fair. I do like him, but let's be honest. This guy has never led a single army in his life. He is just a combatant, a really good combatant. Don't get me wrong. Definitely one of the best fighters the mountain tribes have, but that's it. He's just a combatant. Up next is I think that's the leader of the Zenkai tribe, one of Kenkri's forces, and I'm gonna put him at highly generals. He's not really a strategist. I mean, the guy is literally just a berserker running around mass murdering people. I am 90% sure this guy has never had a fun outside of his life that wasn't just murder. And now the original commander of the Han during the Coalition War, the Master Poisoner himself. I can't remember his name, but he's definitely up there. I'm gonna put him up there. Honestly, I would say he's probably on the better end of the spectrum. Being actually managed to kill one of the head generals covering the wall's defenses, ultimately being slain by Kenkri. And honestly, he was probably it was definitely the smartest one, bringing, well, poise into a siege battle. Probably which was probably the smartest thing out of pretty much any other groups did. And these guys, I don't recognize them, so I'm just not gonna. I think they were for John? Joe? I can't remember. Up next is this guy, I don't remember. Next is the first true general. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna put him low heavenly. Actually, no, he's better than this guy. We honestly didn't really see a lot. He was the fuck, I can't remember. Basically, he was the first general of the true army during the Coalition War. Overall, he's the most level-headed of the group, of the three generals. Honestly, I'd say it's just barely middle road in terms of them. He was killed by Tao. He died on the first day. And honestly, the only thing I remember him was basically one of Uki's commanders, the remnants of Uki's army, basically saying like, "Why the fuck why do you have such a stupid haircut?" And then proceeding to get his shit kicked in for insulting him. Alright, up next, Uki. High 6th grade general. Let's be honest, he was one of the best. Best of the 6 generals. He was the only one that managed to survive up until the story. He pretty much almost every single fight we've been in, he was successful. every the bio campaign was almost perfectly executed. If it weren't for two snitches, including one being a guy getting a stray shot and being a dirty little cheater, because Rubiku has bullshit horses. This guy only lost because apparently John's horses can defy physics and climb up mountains and climb up and down mountains and shit. It's bullshit. Let's be honest. The guy's strong as shit. He was almost able to manage to kill Hoken. It were for a random archer basically distract him for a split second while in the middle of a duel. And well, let's be honest. And in terms of strategy, well, you already seen Tao. He is on par with him, and was pretty much able to almost perfectly predict Rubicon's plan. In fact, would have probably perfectly countered it, for once again bullshit horses. And two, he was hyperfixating on killing this guy. Alright, up next is one of the second general, the remnants of the Yuki army. I'm gonna put you. I'm gonna put him here. I honestly can't really remember his name. He pretty much took over the remnants of the Yuki army after Tao retired. I can't really say a lot about what he's done, since we've only seen him lead during the current arc, and we haven't really seen much of that. So I can't really properly gauge. I know he's very hot-headed. I'll be honest, I ain't got much for him. Alright, now on the Yuki commanders, I'm just gonna put them right beside each other. I can't remember anything about him. Next is the I can't remember her name, but she's one of the 10 bows. That's an impressive feat, and is probably a general at this point. She was basically a massive support for this guy, and let's be honest, she's probably the only reason why that guy was still braving. Yeah, I'm just gonna put him right here. Put her right here. I think her sister married him, so they have a lot of connections. Up next, the brains of the Orenka. I can't remember his name, but overall he did decently well. I mean, he survived an assassination attempt against Kyoshi. Kyoshi, he was smart enough to booby trap his tent. He pretty much handled the strategy for the river battle during the war in Koshin, which he did even while, bleeding out because of a failed assassination attempt. And honestly, I would say it almost worked, if it weren't for the fact that the Haishin unit is full of crazy people who are willing to do batshit insane and stuff like dragging a rope, like using a rope to basically drag themselves through the most rough and unstable part of a raging river, and actually and having enough soldiers to actually survive that. Survive doing that. Honestly, his strategy would have worked perfectly. And I can't really say more about him since he kind of died at the end of it. Anyway, guy over here, he think he was... I can't remember his name, but I do know he was in the Coalition War in the War of Bio. I was the head general of defense. He was pretty good, actually. All things considered, I'm gonna put him here. He mostly just went to... Originally just focused on diverting attacks from Mobu, and then was basically was just just dealing with Shin during the Coalition War, which honestly didn't really get to see a lot. Apparently Shin really doesn't like him because he kept, retreating because he's mostly focused on defense and isn't an idiot. Up next, this guy, I don't know who that is. Up next is the... Okay, is this douchebag? Yeah, I'm gonna put him right here at the bottom. He was a 2000 commander during the Coalition War. He was one of the main commands during the Siege of Sai. It's actually only I don't remember him fighting in. He was just a giant douchebag. He works under Ryubuki. Overall, I don't really like him. He doesn't really do much. And up next is the second strategist during the coalition, second general manning the wall during the Coalition War. I can't remember his name. I like him, but I'm gonna put him in low Fire Dragons. The guy himself, I'll be honest, he didn't really do much. He held the line. He got poisoned pretty early on by the Hans general, with him slowly dying to poison. He was able to, with the help of Kinkri, lead one last charge in killing him, which I mean is a decent feat. He did live to be an old man, which is something which is a lot more can be said of most people, of most generals. So he has my respect there. Up next, Heki. I'm gonna put him right above him, right below Mobu. Heki is probably the only general we've seen the most out of. Surprisingly enough, honestly, he's a very middle of the road. Honestly, I probably would have put him lower if it weren't for the fact that after being captured, was basically enslaved by John. He handled it. He was the only thing keeping all the other prisoners of war were basically still the will to survive. I wouldn't say he's in terms of combat, I would say he's average. His strategy is probably the strong suit with him. Again, not really standing out. He's not a great general. He's not the best, but honestly, I'd probably say he's the most reliable out of any generals we've seen so far in the series. Up next, the left-hand man, the Mountain King herself. and the only one who's actually, you know, a strategist, who's actually led people. Uh, he's a decent fighter. Haven't really seen a lot from him. I can remember off the top of my head. But he's wanted to marry her. He's a good fighter. I can't really say much else besides that. Over here is Kellen.
Some point, could you put away the dishes, please?
Okay.
You work tomorrow?
Yeah.
Time.
11. Let's see. Nah, I'm just gonna speed run a couple of these guys. Here. Okay, this guy, I like him. I definitely like him a lot. Basically, he was the main trend. I'm gonna put him right here at the moment. Basically, he was basically the strategist in charge of assisting this guy. I honestly mostly put him here because I find him hilarious. Listen, he doesn't really do much. He was captured halfway through, but he was technically the one leading the entire army. And let's be honest, he was, meanwhile, also regularly calling this guy a dumbass. Because, well, let's be honest, he was. And now 10. In terms of just pure strategy, because let's be honest, 10 is not a fighter at all. I'm gonna put her low fire dragons. Listen. She's the only reason why Shin is still alive. And hasn't gotten demoted or killed. Like, let's be honest. She's the only reason why the High Shin unit still exists and hasn't all got brutally murdered during the various wars. And let's see. This guy was the main strategist. I would say he was pretty decent. He managed to trick Mobu into an ambush and threw giant rocks on him. And it was, I can't really say much since he was technically a pawn of Ribiku. So I can't really say a lot. I can't recognize this guy. Oh wait, I just realized it was against. Oh, he was Yon's representative. Oh, okay, I'm gonna. Okay, I'm moving them up to Heavenly Kings. Since let's be honest, this guy did decently well. Actually, oh my god, he did terribly. He was a mountain special. He was raised in a mountain tribe and became one of the head generals for Yon. And then he lost in a battle against Ozen, and was basically was permanently, basically temporarily imprisoned by a fraction of his force because he was terrified of getting the rest of his army killed after pretty much all the mountain tribe members he had in his army was brutally slaughtered by Ozen. Yes, he is the best. Next is Duke something. He was one of the generals for the guy didn't say a lot. He murdered a lot of people. Honestly, just say a lot. I don't recognize this guy. Alright, this guy, he was part of the Bio campaign. He was killed by Oki. Can't really say a lot about him, actually. Next is, Ryo? One of the generals under Uki. I can't really say a lot about him, to be honest. Say, put him up here. I'll give him one thing. He, like a lot of members of King Crusader Circle, was actually, I have a small ounce of respect for, since he was basically being tortured like crazy trying to get information out of him. And he just endured it all before dying without revealing any information at all. Alright, moving on, we got... she's always been in the layer arcs, I can't remember her name. She lost her arm, then Rayon joined Han, joined Zap. Joy Kui, Chin. Yeah. I can't really say a lot. Next up is Kangri. I'm putting up for Legends because he is surprisingly effective. Even though, let's be honest, even though the guy is a walking war crime. Listen, this guy, he has done every single horrific act you can think of in the book. Disembowelment, burning people alive, ripping out people's eyeballs, burning people alive, mass murder, beheading literally everyone in a village several times. Like, if you can think of a war crime in the Geneva Convention, he has done it several times at least. Desecration of the dead. I mean, hell, he's done it so many times. I'm pretty sure he's actually probably added some with the amount of, well, I guess I would say gore architecture. Like, this guy is a walking like, this guy is a fucking monster, and easily one of the most sociopathic, murderous, downright evil people in the series. Unequivocally, he is a monster. And the only reason why I put him so high is because, well, he is probably one of the best strategists besides Olsen and G's army. Even though midway off his... let's see. You know how good he is? He managed to reach bed coasting. Coasting, where did I put? Right here. He had managed to piss him off. He managed to successfully rage bait him into leading a charge into Haishin unit, which inevitably led to his... resulted in his death. Now, I would technically put him in GOATs if it weren't for the fact that he technically is the fact that the only on-screen defeat we've seen of him was against Ribaku. Fucking Ribaku beat him. Albeit just barely. And the only reason why I wouldn't... and honestly, admittedly, part of the reason why is because literally all of his army is made up of previous bandits who had no faith in him whatsoever. Let's be honest, he had no trust in his army. His army had no trust in him whatsoever. They were all previous mountain men and all various bandit clans who he's pretty much subjugated. Pretty much anyone outside the inner circle would not die for him. And after those ones all died in the main stand, he was pretty much fucked at that point. Which, not surprising. Next is this guy, the final member of the trio. He is strong as shit. I can't really say a lot of besides that. He was very strong. He was in charge of defense against the river battle against the Hai Shin unit. He did pretty well. If it weren't for, the Hai Shin being a bunch of crazy people, decided to use a rope bridge to drag themselves against the most roughest and unstable part of a raging river. Up next is a very different economy. Duke Hiryu. Listen, this guy had it all. Along with also a high casualty rate, but he was an insect general, so he had amazing skill. He was invited several times to join the 6th grade generals, refusing every time, because in his own words, he didn't favor them, because he didn't have some grand ambition like any others had. Which, he was right. I mean, he only cared about one thing: fighting the wars. So even with his comrades, and drinking some good beer, and drinking some good wine at the end of the night. He did not care about fame, some greater goal, unifying China. He did not give a shit about any of that. And I gotta admit, it's a bit kind of respectful in a way. He knew it was only good for one thing, and he just wanted to do that. Let's just ignore the fact that was war, and he was responsible for a whole lot of people's deaths. And now, the final one that I've been saving. And one that's going to give me a lot of people are going to be disagreeing with. Riboku. How do I describe this? Riboku is the single worst general I have ever seen in the entire series. And yet somehow, this guy still keeps living. Like, seriously, let's be honest. There is only one time I have seen him actually win, and it wasn't due to conveniences or because the enemy commander was actively distracted with other shit. And that was against Kankri. And this was after losing the Coalition Army, the first invasion of Zhao. Now, making the stupid mistake of getting into an alliance with Quinn by giving up one of their major cities, helping them contribute to their massive expansion of power. Like, listen, this guy he has done some impressive shit. But here's the thing. All of that was off the battlefield. He was the guy he was the only other guy responsible for the Coalition Army. And I admit, he almost won if he actually had some good strategies here and there. Keyword, but the problem is every single time he fucks up the execution. Like, Yeah, like honestly, the best example of this would be the Coalition War. This was after Kaiman's strategy failed, and was beaten by, of course, the goat Ozen. Turns out he has prepared a backup plan of leading a small army out, leading a portion of Zhao's army way out of the way, heading down to a separate path that had several cities in the way. Smaller cities that were mostly undefended on account most of their forces being focused on being conglomerated into the main siege point that the coalition war was fighting against. And here's the thing. He would have succeeded if he didn't do one goddamn thing. If he didn't, at the end of it, request 1,000 troops from each of the remaining other coalition armies. As some symbolic gesture that their agreement was still on. Which you may say, okay, what's the problem with that? The problem is that this was enough. This caused enough stir to have Duke Ryu notice it and follow them. Which he managed to successfully maneuver a force along with gathering up troops from various garrisons that the Zhao army avoided, and launch an attack against it. Not only delaying them, which gave Quinn even more time to prepare, but almost resulting in his death. But the only reason why the hero didn't kill him was because this bastard was acting as a bodyguard. Listen, he is such a bad commander. And this pretty much sealed the fate of the entire war. Because he could have easily won this. He could have won all of it if he just decided to not bring the others in. So he could have launched it a day earlier during the whole massive battle, and he would have succeeded. During the final day of Cao Mai's plan, and he would have succeeded. But because he had to do some symbolic gesture, it all crumbled. And then, of course, there's also during the defense when he was defending against the three separate invasions in Zhao. Each and every time he pulled the exact same bullshit. It's a sure they won't be able to do this, and then they did it. Sure they won't be able to do this, and then they did. And it just went over and all for 3 fucking wars. And let's be honest, sure he won 2 of them. But here's the thing. One was led by, the second one against Oki was one against this one. And he only managed to technically win one on his pure merit alone was against Kangri. This man has such a horrible track record. I'll be perfectly frank, I don't trust him with anything. I don't trust him with a single army. Overall, this guy is just... he is just an idiot in my books. Like, honestly, I'm just gonna take a quote from the fandom from the fan translation, where Shin calls him a retard. Because that is the perfect title for him. Because the only reason why I can explain that he repeatedly loses so often, and yet despite somehow still being treated like a big deal in the story, to the point where it legitimately pisses me off, is because where I am fully convinced that this guy has a fucking learning defect.